Tires are pumped, so now it'll roll a lot easier. Haven't pumped these tires for 6 months, and they lose air over time, and then it gets a bit heavy to push around. So today's job, trying to find out just how dirty this little guy is. Throttle body, might take it off, might just clean it in position. Probably best to take it off, clean it properly. Check all of the air intake, which is stock standard Mazda, except for that little bit of connecting there to the air filter, which I replaced the other day, and then obviously the air intake out the back. So this is today's plan, just to see if I can make this thing run a bit better than before. It might be as simple as a cleanup. If not, we'll start looking at things like coil packs and anywhere else. And for those that are interested, Mazda MX5 battery is situated in the trunk. In this case, it's been relocated to behind the motor, between the firewall, and there's actually a lot of space if you look. So one can move and maneuver around within this very large engine bay. But today's job, most importantly, throttle body, which in 67,000 miles has probably never been cleaned. Judging by the way the air filter looked, there might well be a fair amount of gunging dirt in there. If not, there might be an air leak somewhere, but of course we know that what happens before the MAF probably has a lot less bearing on the running, but we'll see. Let's see what happens in today's little episode, quickly trying to figure out what is going on. So yeah, thanks for joining, and we'll speak in a bit. So let's get on with this. Undo the air intake, and then we'll see how dirty the throttle body is. It may or may not be dirty. We'll unscrew this lot. Right. Undo that. Let's see if we can get this little guy off. That just means everything stays together. I prefer things to stay together so that I don't have to try and figure them out too much later, to figure out what went where and why I've got 3 spare nuts and 2 bolts after finishing the job and the car starts again, and you don't know why you've got all these spares. Although apparently that makes for being a really good mechanic. Let's see if we can get this little guy out. Come on, and in a moment you'll pop off and right through the front of the car. Right, that's part 1. Part 2, let's undo this lot. Put that lot aside for the moment. That's my special modification, obviously. Bringing the air from the relocated airbox. And this might give me an answer as to why there's a load of black soot here, because something is chafing somewhere. All of this is loose. There's no contact. There's a load of black soot down there. Right. See what's in here for a start, just in case. Bit of dirt. There's probably a lot more. So maybe plan B will be to remove the throttle body. Make sure it's really clean. But before we do that, we will take a quick look and to see if the camera will actually give us any view in there. Sometimes it's nice just using the camera to take a look into tight spots. Let's see what happens. Throttle body, it's all shiny, but I suspect there's more dirt there than one realizes, so may well be worth just getting in there and cleaning out somewhat. Having been in there with just a bit of paper towel sprayed with some carb cleaner, that is the result. I have a very faint suspicion that we might need to disassemble this thing, which I'm really not in the mood for, but it's got to be done. Otherwise we're not ever going to get this thing to run properly. In the meantime, it has started drizzling, typical of my lovely English weather. So, overcast, wet, typical day to work out on the driveway. But this is today's problem. Getting more of this gunk out might actually make a difference to the running. So next step, disassemble all the bits that are associated, some electrical connectors, some pipe work down there. There's two little, I'm assuming they're water pipes, coolant pipes, and then there are two nuts at the top, two bolts at the bottom that hold all this together. Hopefully I'll be able to reassemble it. There's a gasket which I don't have a replacement for, so I might end up having to buy some liquid gasket or something similar. But for the moment, the plan is to disassemble and clean up. So, bit of rag cleaning, and it seems a whole lot cleaner. I'm actually loath to disassemble this at the moment, simply because the reassembly includes a gasket which I don't have on hand. But it seems cleaner. I'm not sure it's going to make any difference to the running, but I might actually just reassemble it now and see if it makes any difference. If we get lucky, great. If we don't get lucky, then we'll go on to step 2. But as you can see now, it's getting wet, and that's less interesting and less fun to work in, sort of the damp. I'm not sure it's too clever either. Back in a bit. That's the third time that has died, which is done up to now. Now it should run after this. Let's see if it happens. own. No throttle on all of those startup attempts. Getting a bit of a hunt there, not sure what it's looking for. Idling at about 1,000 RPM, 950, 1,000 there, it's dropping again, not sure why. I think I'll leave it to run for 10-15 minutes, just stand and idle and think for itself, maybe reprogram itself as it needs to be done. Pushed it out the wet now and I'm just leaving it there, stand idle by itself for a while, give it about 20 minutes or so, see what it does. Hoping that it is busy rethinking itself and reprogramming itself as it goes along.